But I personally believe, and I think it's the correct thing, that we ought to do all we can to enhance the public's confidence in the integrity of the judicial system. And one way to do that is to try to stem the tide of monies coming into judicial campaign.
Well, it makes all the difference. I mean, the two elections that I've run in, one with campaign finance reform and one without, I'll take with any day, any time, anywhere.
I've had nothing but positive reactions to public campaign financing, particularly when you explain to them that in other states there have been difficulties.
Sexually molested multiple West Virginia children, one only 4 years old. For this terrible crime, Tony Dean Arbaugh was sentenced to serve 15 to 35 years. But just 3 years later, a shocking turn of events.
The voters in North Carolina that I've talked to do not want that in our state in any manner, and are pleased that the General Assembly was willing to step forward and take some innovative actions to prevent that from happening in our state.
The Observer has routinely referred to North Carolina's system of choosing judges in this technical fashion. We have said it is nuts or nutty and needs changing. And I think as that bill began moving through the legislature, I think it reflected that there was the fact that there is a fundamental shift in thinking about judicial elections.
The experiences of this election, I think, is taught at least me and hopefully North Carolina that this is a very good experiment and should be replicated.
There's no question about this, is that judicial candidates themselves like it. They want it. They like the idea of having some kind of financial resource that absolves them of going out, handout, to people that may end up before them in court asking for money.
I didn't have any question I was going to be part of the public campaign financing. I thought the program needed to get off to a good start, and I wanted to be part of that. Quite frankly, if you read the phraseology that was used by the General Assembly in stating the reasons for it being enacted, I think it'd be very difficult for any judicial candidate to say that they're not interested in public campaign financing.
One of the great things about this campaign finance reform, required us to obtain small amounts of money from larger groups of people.
That it really was an attraction to be able to qualify and then have that funding already there where they wouldn't have to focus on raising money, but focus on saying to the voters who they are and why they want to be elected.
I think it helped people to really feel vested in a campaign. That was the sense that I received, and that's one of the most gratifying things.
It spreads those contributions out amongst people. In our case, we have a checkoff on the income tax where people can designate that $3 goes to this fund. And that means that the public at large has an interest in financing the judicial races.
And I think the judges and the candidates initially were somewhat apprehensive about, well, can I get 350 contributions? Will I be able to make the minimal amount of $35,000 or so? What it proved to be ultimately was that I don't think it was that difficult for them at all.
So about 2 months out, I know I pretty much put everything else on hold in terms of campaigning and worked on qualifying. Fortunately, in the long run, we had to have a minimum of 350, and I had about 720 contributions, which I felt very good about.
From July 20th on, it was pure campaigning, pure face-to-face grassroots campaigning, not trying to raise money.
Everyone rather quickly said that they were interested in public campaign financing, and I found that to be basically a success for the program. Just the fact that the candidates themselves were willing to make use of the process.
This year's elections, the 2004 election, which has been the first election in which they've had a chance to implement the program, almost all of the candidates wanted to participate, and that, I think, speaks a great deal about where judicial candidates are in terms of campaigning.
Once the candidate actually does receive the distribution, the candidate is out of the business of receiving money. And that is tremendous for the public to then see candidates coming in and they're not asking for money. Not only not asking for money, but if money is offered, they say, no, I can't receive any additional money. I have already been provided money under the public financing, and all I'm here to do is to tell you about my qualifications and to talk about why I should be the next Supreme Court Justice. That, if we're going to have elected system, is a good thing, I think.